Official devotion to the Blessed Mother under the title of Buen Suceso, or Good Success, began in 1606. After the death of Brother Bernardin de Obregon, founder of the Brotherhood of the Friars Minor for the Service of the Sick, which is a third-order Franciscan branch, in 1599, Gabriel de Fontenand was elected to replace him. Accompanied by Guillermo Rigosa, he traveled to Rome to ask the Supreme Pontiff for his official approval of the Institute and the habit with the purple cross that distinguishes the order. As they passed through the town of Tigueras, they were caught in a terrifying hailstorm with lightning and thunder so strong that their hearts were filled with terror. Finding themselves without shelter, and fearing that the end of their lives was at hand, the brothers prayed that God would at least mercifully grant them a peaceful place to expire. Unexpectedly, they saw a light far up in the mountainous cliffs and hastened there for refuge. On reaching this place, they found a cave, and inside of this cave was a shrine that held a magnificent statue of Our Lady. This hallowed ground was decorated with beautiful, sweet-smelling flowers and illuminated in such a way that this cave glittered as if numerous lights had been lit. The brothers rejoiced at this beautiful sight. They were very anxious to take this statue with them for protection, since they recognized its miraculous quality. However, their honest hearts would not allow them to take it until they were certain it did not belong to anyone. So they inquired across the land and found that no one had ever heard of this statue or the shrine they had been so blessed to discover. Hurrying off to Rome with their prized possession, they praised God for such a find. On arriving in Rome, their anxiety increased. They feared that their order would not be approved by the Pope, so they prayed to Our Lady, pleading with her to obtain the approval they so anxiously sought. Pope Paul V, upon hearing the story of the marvelous events of their journey, and seeing the exquisite statue of Our Lady and the infant Jesus, knelt before the statue and placed his pectoral cross around her neck. The Holy Father asked to embrace this statue, and as he kissed her, he exclaimed, "Look, brothers, she is smiling. Why does she smile so? What good success you have had on this journey. There is no doubt that Our Lady has deigned to protect and support you in your work. Therefore, it will not be me that will go against her. May all of your desires have good success." He then blessed the statue and christened her Our Lady of Good Success. He commanded that devotion to her should be immediately propagated. Thus the friars and the statue made their way back to Spain, where the statue was eventually taken to Madrid, where it was placed in the royal hospital. At once the statue became renowned for its numerous miracles, so King Philip III ordered the construction of the sanctuary of the Puerta del Sol. Presently the statue resides in the church of Bueno Suceso in Madrid. In Spanish, a suceso is an event, an occurrence. So Buen Suceso, in connection with the Feast of the Presentation and Purification of Our Lady on February 2nd, might be translated as the happy event. Certainly the gestation of Christ from conception to birth can be called a happy event, and it is in this sense that we should understand good success. This may well be the reason why Our Lady appeared to a nun in a Conceptionist order, which is especially dedicated to contemplating the mysteries related to her role as the bearer of Christ. The city of Quito, Ecuador, and its oldest convent, the Convent of the Conceptionists, also Franciscans, experienced the special favor of the glorious Mother of Good Success, who appeared prodigiously to Mother Mariana de Jesus Torres, a Spaniard, and one of the founding mothers of this convent, in the year 1610, after the convent had already been founded for 33 years. The Spanish Conceptionist mothers in Quito, who were in constant correspondence with Spain, most certainly heard the news of the finding of a miraculous statue and the miracles Our Lady was working in Madrid. Mother Mariana and her aunt Mother Maria were related to the king and would have a special interest in anything to do with the Spanish court. Therefore, when the statue in Quito was made and consecrated in 1611, with the name Our Lady of Good Success, the invocation was already known and recognized in Spain, since the Madrid statue had been found 5 years earlier in 1606 and had been moved to the hospital and church attached to the Spanish court. Thus, Our Lady of Good Success chose to be known in both the Old and New World. This fortunate and pious sister was praying alone with tender devotion, imploring the help of Mary under the title of Good Success, for the needs of her own soul, for her sisters in the cloister, and for all mankind. In the fervor of her pleas, made with such profound faith and confidence, she raised her eager eyes to heaven, calling on her mother to come and save her, and grant what she humbly asked, with sincere interest for the good of her convent and for all the Catholic Church. Suddenly, a refulgent light flooded the church, and the good sister fell into ecstasy. Her mind was overcome by a sudden astonishment, and her heart was moved by an inexplicable joy. Her faith grew, and her devotion increased as the light diffused itself before her astonished and dazzled gaze. A singular joy entered her heart, and she redoubled her pleas in an ecstasy of unlimited confidence. Consider how the fortunate religious, in the fervor of her pleas, and illuminated by that bright light that inundated her, fixed her eyes upon the source of that brilliance, finding before her a lady of extraordinary beauty and kindness of face. As the light dissolved, she saw that the lady was carrying in her left arm a child, shining and bright like a morning star, full of grace and goodness, his features tender and kind. In her right hand she held a beautiful scepter of shining gold and precious stones, and around her forehead was a magnificent crown with dazzling stones. She wore a garment similar to that of the statue in Spain of Mary of Good Success, whose miraculous discovery was recounted earlier, and to whom the pious Conceptionist sister had been praying when she received the favor of this vision. The good religious was at the same time transported with joy and confusion to be thus visited by her celestial mother. As thoughts of lively faith and valiant love and confidence overwhelmed her being, she asked, "Who art thou, and what dost thou desire?" Then in a sweet and suave voice the lady responded, "I am Mary of Good Success, whom you invoked with such tender affection. Your prayer has pleased me very much. Your faith has brought me here. Your love has invited me to visit you. It is the will of God that I command you to have a statue made that would represent this apparition in all its details, so that it might be placed in the choir where all the religious pray directly above the abbess's chair, so that they might consider this memorable statue as their principal abbess. Place the statue in the place I have indicated, with a crozier and the keys of the cloister in my right hand, for I desire to be advocate and protectress of this convent." Having said this, the vision disappeared. Thus would this statue stimulate perpetual gratitude, special attentiveness in prayer, obedience, a firm faith, a confident hope, and an ardent love for Mary Most Holy, who thus offered herself to preside over and govern this convent. Many miracles attended the sculpting and finishing of this statue, so full of sweetness and majesty, which, according to Our Lady's words, will last until the end of time. Venerated in the upper choir of this convent, the religious there always have recourse to her in their most grave conflicts, and there have been many. So also has she been the refuge of all the people who come to her in their necessities, and through her intercession many portentous favors and special graces have been obtained. This apparition was approved numerous times by different bishops in the 1600s and the centuries following, who all scrutinized it in the light of the Church's teachings and found it to be theologically and morally sound. When Our Lady warned Mother Mariana that a great crisis in the Church would begin after the middle of the 20th century, She also told her that only then would this devotion become known, because it would be the remedy for that crisis. She reserved this invocation and apparition for our times. By means of this devotion, she promised that our Lord would grant great miracles, spiritual as well as material, for the devout faithful. Above all for the faithful, at the end of the 20th century, who would be the favorite of his heart, for in that period hell would be unleashed and many souls would be lost. Almost all of the prophecies made by Our Lady to Mother Mariana have been fulfilled. Like the prophecies at Fatima, end with her assurances that despite the catastrophes and disasters visited upon the world as punishment for the sins of humanity, in the end she would prevail, bringing about the restoration of the Holy Church and a great triumph over the devil and his minions. We encourage you to read about Our Lady of Good Success, or watch some of the many videos available online about the prophecies of this apparition and see how the events have come about. Our Lady prepared a remedy 400 years ago for these times. Pray to Our Lady under the title of Good Success. This is Monica for St. Joseph's, asking God's blessings on you, and thanks for watching.